America is the place where anything can happen. America is the place where anyone can rise. And here, on this land, on this soil, on this continent, the most incredible dreams come true. This nation is our canvas, and this country is our masterpiece. We look at tomorrow and see unlimited frontiers just waiting to be explored. Our brightest discoveries are not yet known. Our most thrilling stories are not yet told. Our grandest journeys are not yet made. The American age, the American epic, the American adventure has only just begun. Our spirit is still young. The sun is still rising. God's grace is still shining. And my fellow Americans, the best is yet to come. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk Revival, President Trump is acquitted of all charges in the Senate trial after this impeachment hoax was allowed to get that far. We're going to talk about that. Plus, we're going to look at the latest new Q posts, and we're going to check out some incredible Q proofs which continue to build to show us that President Trump is associated directly with this military intelligence operation, which is aimed at defeating the fake news media and the big tech corporate censors. So you guys are going to want to stick around and check out that, plus a whole lot more. Hi, my name's Craig. Welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. You guys know the drill. Look, thank you. If you've hit that subscribe button, please come here. If you haven't yet, hit it. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified as soon as these videos get posted. And you're going to have to select the all button when you click that bell to make sure you get all the notifications, because hopefully they work still half the time at least. So somebody will get notified when these videos get posted. But this is where we're going to start. We have brand new Q posts. We're going to dive right into them. There's a lot to cover here, so we're going to get through these. But really quick, though, I just want to touch on, first of all, the fact that President Trump, this is breaking news, has come out that President Trump's been acquitted on both charges in the Senate impeachment trial. And this is a big deal with the fact that we have Mitt Romney showing his true colors and deciding to vote against President Trump, when we all know this whole thing is an impeachment hoax scam. There's never been anything there, yet he shows his true colors in voting to convict the president for a crime that never happened, for something that the Democrats just made up to remove him from office. So this tells you everything you need to know about Mitt Romney, and I thought it was a good place to start. But with that, we'll jump right into the latest Q post. So we have February 4th, Q post 3825, which really came on the 5th, I guess, early in the morning last night. And this post right here is where we're going to start. And it starts with this tweet from Praying Medic. And here is the video, the clip itself, which is a caller calling into the C-SPAN talk show and basically explaining everything the Democrats are terrified of. So go ahead and watch this.
California, good evening to you. What's your reaction to the speech?
I agree wholeheartedly with the other callers. I am a Democrat as well, but no longer will I vote Democrat. I think it's outrageous that they sat there when all these good things are happening to our country and how much we love our country, and they looked like they hated our country. And Nancy Pelosi, the whole time she's sitting up there with a disgusting look on her face. It's outrageous. I will never vote Democrat again, and I'm sick of it, and my whole family feels the same way. My husband, my friends are sitting here, all former Democrats. We all voted for Hillary last time, and therefore never, ever will we ever vote Democrat again.
So there you saw it. Pragmatic highlights this video clip that's put up by this cheese crackers at the State of the Union reaction over on C-SPAN. And the caller from California, who was a Democrat, says she is appalled by the Democrat Party. She will never vote for them again, because you can see through these people and their deception and the way that they hate this country, and they're not true to the form of what Democrats originally were, at least before they went off the deep end when President Trump got elected. But they only went off the deep end, remember, because of Ukraine, because of China, because of their backdoor deals with Saudi Arabia through these financial, firms and these cybersecurity firms. This is something that we are exposing. This is why they're desperate, and the American people see right through it. So whether you're a Democrat, Republican, left or right, or whatever, or somewhere in between, you see this criminal action and you think, these people need to be removed from office. We cannot trust them. And that seems to be the prevailing message that's permeating society right now. And no matter how much they want to jazz it up, they can game their algorithms. They can game the trending section on Twitter. They can game the algorithm at YouTube so you only see fake news, MSNBC and CNN. They can have the fake news media pump out story after story after story, nothing burger after nothing burger after nothing burger, trying to set up and frame President Trump. But at the end of the day, we see right through it. And Q says, what happens when the mass population witnesses no political spin, fake news cannot censor State of the Union address, the anti-American actions of the left firsthand? The silent war continues, Q. So, a couple things. If you watch the State of the Union address, you'll know that there were some theatrics, some people boycotted, some people walked out, some people wouldn't even clap for things like, unemployment being down, or having, a member of the Tuskegee Airmen receive a promotion. I guess he was made a general recently, and celebrating his grandson and him being able to watch the President of the United States, congratulate him for his work. You can't clap for that. If you're a Democrat, you can't clap for anything that's American, right? That's positive for our country, because they hate the president so much, it blinds them to anything that's good surrounding them. And that's really where we're at. So with that, the silent war does continue, and we saw it firsthand. Not to mention, there was a little bit of a Q-proof in the State of the Union address. As you guys saw in the beginning of this video, you saw President Trump saying the best is yet to come. And what was Q telling us just the other day? Right here, the January 28, 2020, the best is yet to come, giving us a quote from President Trump's speech where he talked about George Washington right after Q had posted about George Washington using Durham boats to cross the Delaware River. So President Trump is involved with this. He's giving us, signals to let us know that we're on the right track, and we are going to overthrow the fake news media, the ones trying to propagandize the masses and destroy this country for their benefit, to enrich themselves at the expense of the American people. We are saying no more. We're standing up to it, and we're getting all the confirmation we need. So the best is yet to come. And Q told us all about it. Q told us, he made the prediction, called the shot, and President Trump delivered in the State of the Union, showing us that we're over the target, ladies and gentlemen. But like I said, the silent war continues, like Q said here. The next one here is this Dan Scavino tweet, right? Well, what do we have here? Another shot being called by Q. Remember this. This is the picture that's shared over here on Scavino's behind the scenes of the State of the Union address photo, right? This is a picture of President Trump entering the hall of the Great Chamber there, where he was going to give the speech. And of course, you have the American flag with the "In God We Trust" above it. Well, if you look at what Q wants us to kind of examine here, it says, sometimes the past can find the future. And if you think about it, we'll go to the next post here because it's related. The Anon points out back on February 1st, Q posted this "In God We Trust" with the American flag. Well, I wonder, is there a coincidence? No. These people are trying to tell us who they are. They're identifying themselves indirectly and saying, they're challenging, they're taunting the fake news media who can't ask the question. They can't talk about Q, because then, as Q has said in the past, this would force them to verify and validate everything that they've said, right? If the fake news media, and if they verify and validate everything that they said, which I'm sure they can, as Q has alluded to, the fake news will be exposed as corrupt, complicit in this cover-up, in all of the criminal cover-ups that have affected so many people, and including the American people at large, right, in our country's security and safety and sovereignty. So that's where we're at, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what Q wants us to look at. And it says, "In God we trust." What a coincidence. That's what the Anon pointed out. And Q says, sometimes the future can find the past. So of course, it's just another thing to be mindful of. What Q is showing us here is everything that we knew was coming, and then it came. So, take that with a grain of salt, I guess. Now, the next one here is the clip from Law Abiding Citizen. You guys have seen this before, where Jared Butler says, basically, it's going to be biblical. I'm going to bring the whole corrupt system down on their head. I don't need to really play it because it speaks for itself, I mean, you guys have seen it. I've told you what it just said. Plus, I don't want to get some copyright strike from whoever made this stupid movie. So that is something that's interesting, right? Then the next one here is an anon pointing out who is the real who's the biggest donor to this Shadow Incorporated, this cyber firm that's behind the app that had the malfunctions last night in the Iowa caucus, which ended up giving Pete Buttigieg the win anyway. So far, it looks like, I think there was like 70% when I saw last, and Pete Buttigieg was still in the lead. But it's, of course, George Soros. And this is a tweet from Ian Miles Chong saying, and there it is, the single largest donor of Shadow Inc., the company behind the failed Iowa caucus app, is, of course, George Soros. So these, at this point, you have to understand that this guy's got his hands in everything. He's trying to sow discord. He's trying to get, wildly liberal and very progressive, to the point of being like socialist and communist type of progressive. You know what I mean? Being persons being put in positions of power. So they run their radical candidates for all these different positions. They put a bunch of money behind them, and that's how they continue to keep control and power, right? So if you can't win an election, you either put in your own operative who's controllable, or you put in a wild man who's going to destroy the whole thing, because out of destruction comes more power for them, if that makes sense. In case anybody missed it, it will be no surprise to learn that Soros is #1 funding source behind Shadow. And like I said, who is picking these names of these companies like CrowdStrike and Shadow? They really do sound like Bond villain, shell corporations, right? Like, he was the head of, Death Industries. It's like, what? So that's what we're up against here. And I'm only laughing at the absurdity, not at the actual content of that. But yeah, so the next one here, of course, is the Democrats last night. And it's an excerpt that an anon points to from an article that was written by redstate.com. And it's pretty interesting to see what it is. Plus, it's got a link to this GOP video, which kind of mocks the Democrats and asking, what will they stand for, right? They won't clap. They won't support any of these positive things that President Trump's talking about. If anything, they look completely deflated and defeated to know that President Trump is actually succeeding in making America great again. It's really baffling to me to see this kind of cult-like behavior, which it really is. They want to say QAnon's a cult. These people are in a cult. They're the ones that need help. That's the truth. So this is a quote from the article saying, "Remember that the Democrats sat while you were celebrated last night. I end a lot of articles," and this is a clip from the article itself, saying, "I end a lot of articles about how the Democrats really feel about you by telling you to vote accordingly. But Trump's State of the Union speech highlighted the Democrats' utter contempt for President Donald Trump, you, and this country last night, as they sat through almost every applause line that celebrated you doing well. As the GOP highlighted in a video they posted to Twitter, the Democrats heard about the all-time low unemployment levels of the Black community, the Hispanic community, the young adult community, and more. This should be a reason to celebrate. We should see our elected leaders getting to their feet and showing support, but instead, only half the room decided to stand. The other half, the Democrats, sat still, arms folded, and practically seethed at times." And then it shows the video from the GOP here, which, you guys can imagine what it is, but this is the article from Red State. This is the actual video itself. And for the sake of a copyright strike, I'm not going to play it with the music. But it's basically President Trump making all of his pronouncements of these positive things for our economy and our government and what his administration's been able to do. And it keeps cutting to, obviously, the Democrats just sitting, not standing, not clapping, looking, as it said in the article, almost seething at the fact that President Trump was up there doing his, speech to give the State of the Union. But that aside, it's also the fact that, Nancy Pelosi ripping up the speech at the end, which is actually, it's a slap in the face to all Americans, really, because that's like a historical document that's supposed to be kept, for the House of Representatives, and that would be a historical piece of documentation. Yet she just flippantly rips it up and acts like it's some piece of garbage. Like how she feels about the Constitution. That's what she would like to do with the Constitution, but she was able to do it because it was Trump's speech. And yeah, that's what we're up against here, folks. Not to mention, Q gives us this photo right here, which just shows exactly how engaged they were in that speech last night. Half of them, were just asleep, as you can see here. Half of them aren't paying attention. So they didn't really care. They don't care about positive things that happen when our nation is uplifted, when people are uplifted out of poverty, when people are taken off of food stamps and given a job and a living wage that's reasonable, and a way out of that poverty. No. They don't care about that because they want you to be dependent. They want you to have a slave mentality. They want you to become a ward of the state. They want you to be dependent on them so that they can enrich themselves at your expense. That's what this whole game is, and that's why they hate President Trump, because he's helping empower Americans who would normally maybe have a dependency with the government because they've been brainwashed and tricked into believing that's the only way to live, and President Trump's giving them another way, and it shows just how ineffective and feckless and useless these people are sitting here who can't even pay attention or be proud of a nation when it succeeds and when people are elevated out of poverty, and it's just disgusting. But of course, that's what we're being shown. Q here in the next one says Panic in DC, this movie poster. We've seen that before here on the Q post, but Q says, people actually believe those responsible for the attempted coup attempt of a duly elected sitting U.S. president will go unpunished? End to our constitutional republic? No equal justice under the law? No accountability? None or escape unscathed? Buckle up, Q. So I hope so. I'm in the boat where I understand that these cases, these investigations, they all take time. I understand that we have seen now that John Durham's investigation started on the same, or John Durham was basically appointed on the same day that this whole Q thing started. And the Q thing has been a way to keep the American people informed about what is happening behind the scenes that the mainstream media won't report on. And that's the biggest deception of all, is what Q is pointing out here. People actually believe those responsible for the attempted coup of a duly elected president will go unpunished. They do. The fake news media wants the general public to believe not only was there no coup, but that nobody's going to get in trouble and that they're just going to keep operating as normal propaganda artists who are trying to con the American people and deceive us, and who are being promoted and propped up by big tech firms who got in bed literally with the Chinese communists and were trying to develop ways to make you into slaves. That's what it is. They want you to be digital slaves on the internet and in the digital era, digital world, and they want you to be real life slaves in the real world. So this has been their plan. It's all a form of control, and this is really what President Trump has broke the paradigm of, and that's what we're seeing right now. So the next one here is a bunch of Antifas, obviously burning American flags, because, what else would an Antifa do at a rally besides burn the American flag? Because they are the militant arm of the Democrat Party, who has been weaponized and mobilized over the last 3 years to intimidate and to basically be the enforcers for this criminal coup, so that if anybody stands in favor of President Trump, anybody stands in opposition to this coup, they are met with actual physical violent force in the streets. Does this sound like a democracy or the constitutional republic that you want for your kids? That's the question. Whether you're on the left or right, you have to ask this question. Is this really the future that you want for your children, where you have Antifa thugs roaming the street, bashing people over the head with bike locks just because they have a political disagreement? And they claim that your speech or your constitutionally guaranteed rights are somehow an imminent threat to them, so they make that a justification to use violent actions? whether it's against property or people. This is really how you turn your country into a third world you-know-what hole, okay? And these people are the ones who, whatever, they may think in their minds they're doing this, but guess what? The path to hell is paved with great intentions, and these people probably think they're doing some great service for this country, when in reality, they're the ones who are the fascists who are trying to tear it apart from within, and they're so stupid and brainwashed that they can't even recognize it in what they're actually doing. So I just thought that was definitely something to be considered. And then it gives us a link to this tweet, U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy, who says, at a time when Republicans are being shot, stabbed, doxxed, beaten, mail powder run out of restaurants, and sent death threats, Hillary Clinton urges Democrats to be even more uncivil. What an irresponsible statement every Democrat should denounce. And this, of course, is Hillary Clinton on CNN telling them that if they don't win back the House from President Trump, that everybody should be civil or uncivil, because the Republicans only respond to force. So she's been one of the main people, including a lot of other Democrats, in promoting this violent authoritarianism. And it's insane. These people are so sick and so stupid that they think that this is going to work when they have no idea. You can poke the bear so many times, but guess what happens if you poke the bear one too many times? I'm just going to leave it there. Watch this clip.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about. That's why I believe if we are fortunate enough to win back the House and/or the Senate, that's when civility can start again. But until then, the only thing that the Republicans seem to recognize and respect is strength.
Well, guess what, Hillary? You got your way. Irregular warfare at its finest. That's what we are doing every single day to combat you. And we're doing it in a very civil manner because we understand that there are laws in this country. We understand that we want a return to the law and order system that is prescribed by the Constitution. And we are going to have that. And these traitors, people who have decided to throw caution to the wind and try to stand against the United States and try to tear it down from within, well, I have news for you. You all are on notice. You all are going to be exposed, and you all are going to be brought to justice legally and lawfully, because we will have a new one-tier justice system, which means justice for all. So I just want to throw that out there so that anyone watching who may be listening that is thinking, I think I'm going to get away with it. Guess what? You're not. And that's what Q's saying here, revival. Q is the next one. So obviously, we are headed toward a revival. This is a video that Q gives us, which seems to be a music video, background music. It's pretty inspirational, probably something that you should listen to for yourself. I'll leave a link to it. It's 7 minutes long, so I'm going to leave a link to it below, and you guys can go check it out down in the description. So with that, I just want to say thank you guys for watching this episode. A few more things before we go. Obviously, you guys want to do something great. You can be brave and download the Brave browser. It's a great way to support the channel. It's free. It's an internet browser. It's better than Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, whatever you're using. It blocks the ads and it makes your internet experience that much better. Meaning, when you go to a website and you try to read an article, you won't be inundated with ads that make it impossible to just read the article that you are trying to read. So that's one of the benefits to it, plus a lot of other functionality benefits. And it's better than all the other internet browsers out there, let's be honest. And if you use the link in the description to download it, install it, and run it on your computer, you'll actually be helping this channel out too. So it's a win-win. And I hope you guys go down in the link in the description and check that out. Also, you can come find me over here on Twitter at JustinformedU. That's the official Twitter page for Just Informed Talk. Also, I'm on BitChute, the backup channel here. That's Just Informed Talk on BitChute. Links to that will be in the description. And of course, you have JustinformedNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. That's a great place to go get some information as well. And if you want to help out the channel financially, there's Patreon, patreon.com. You guys keep this channel alive with your monthly donation. You set it and forget it here, and know you're helping create content on this channel on a regular basis. This channel could not exist without you guys. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up. If you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation, links to everything that we talk about here will be posted in the description. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And here I want to read 2 separate verses for you, and then we're going to talk about them. And the first one I'm going to read is out of the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 through 5. It says, "But know this, difficult times will come in the last days, for people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, unloving, irreconcilable, slanderers, without self-control, brutal, without love for what is good, traitors, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, holding to the form of religion, but denying its power. Avoid these people." And this is what you should do, right? I'm going to read this. This is chapter 4, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1 through, let's say 8. And it says this: "Before God and Christ Jesus, who is going to judge the living and the dead, and by his appearing in his kingdom, I solemnly charge you, proclaim the message, persist in it, whether convenient or not, rebuke, correct, and encourage with great patience and teaching. For the time will come when they will not tolerate sound doctrine, but according to their own desires will accumulate teachers for themselves, because they have an itch to hear something new. They will turn away from hearing the truth and will turn aside to myths. But as for you, keep a clear head about everything, endure hardship, do the work of an evangelist, and fulfill your ministry." So that was through 5 actually, but I read those 2 next to each other because I was reading through this, back end of 2 Timothy today, and I was kind of thinking, man, it's so appropriate for the times that we live in, right? We're surrounded by people who are slanderers, without self-control, brutal, traitors, reckless, boastful, lovers of money, lovers of self. We see this every day. We have to live a step above that. And as it says here, we have to live a life out loud for Christ. Do the work of an evangelist and fulfill your ministry and endure the hardship that exists within all of this evil that surrounds us, and use it as a fuel to go out and to save those who need the word of God, who need the message of God. Don't look at it as, the message of Christ is just for you. It's for you to take and give to others. That's what makes it so powerful, that it's a gift that not only can make your life better, and I know it can, because believe me, God can bless you in ways that you could never have imagined. I know God has done that for me, and I know that God's done that for people who I love and people who I know, and he's done it for so many out there, and he can do it for you. But you have to remember to fulfill your ministry, right? To go out there and be an evangelist, spread the word as far and as wide as you can. Keep a clear head. Remember that there's gonna be people who will stand in opposition to this, but you have to stand firmly and rebuke them and correct and encourage them with great patience. Whether it's your family or your friends or somebody you work with, a coworker, remember, we have to be the catalyst for change that we want to see, and we do that by living as Christ-like as we can, and we put God first above all else. And that's my message to you, and I want you to take that and put it out into the world. So that's pretty much where I'm going to wrap it up. I want to say thank you so much for watching. Remember to come here, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and hit it, elbow it, tap it, headbutt it, pop it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. But that's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.